My name is Roman Tolstick, and I hate to start us off in this way, but I don't know how else to start it. So basically, what this is a documentary of the startup of a company.
What is this I'm feeling? If you wanna leave, I'm with it. We've come too far to give up.
Hello again. My name is Roman Tolstick. I gotta work on my enunciation. And it's another episode of Ronaware and the founding of. And so this time I have some notes. And mainly this episode is going to be about hiring on a new employee after you already have your core team. As you start to expand, you need more people to help you with day-to-day stuff or engineering or whatever you happen to be in. So in this case, I put out a job posting on Indeed. And one cool little fact about that is you can actually post for free on there for a job post, and you get amazing response. I mean, you have within a week 50 people applying for a job that you clearly state does not pay, just an internship or something, right? And so usually that's what I like to do. I like to propose a job as an internship, and that way it kind of gives me, kind of the college students, but people who are willing to work for free just for the experience, right? Which in a startup atmosphere is the best thing you can give them, because rather than being in a corporate setting where you're just focused on this one tiny little thing of the entire sphere of what that company happens to be, in the startup you have experience of touching everything from start to finish. I think that's one thing that's really cool, and one thing that really stands out above anything that any large or medium-sized business can provide. And so in my case, what happened was I put up a job posting on Indeed, got a huge amount of responses back. And one thing to keep in mind too, when you start getting those responses back from your job posts, expect to have maybe only, say, 10% of those who, I'd probably say 20% of those who initially applied. After you give them a little more details about what your job is, that's one thing I could do as well. After they apply for the job, I send them out a list, more detailed, like here's specifically what I'm going to expect from you, and here's what you get in return. Out of those, only about 20% come back and say, I still want an interview. You interview those, you kind of take it down to just a couple of people, and then don't tell anybody that they've been rejected yet. First, secure your approvals, which is what I always do. I send out, say like in this case I wanted to hire somebody, I sent out an approval letter, she accepted, and so then I was able to tell everybody else that we're not, these positions have been filled. But I've had cases too where I didn't always get my first choice. I got maybe my second choice, and so I was really, really glad that I didn't tell the people I rejected that they were rejected before I got an acceptance from the original person. Another thing I would say too, because you're in a startup and you're not paying anybody, you don't have any payroll to worry about with, you can be a little more adventurous in your hiring. And so if you say you need one position filled, you could hire two people, because the odds are they're both not going to be super great. Again, like you're not paying anybody any money in a startup, right? So you got to take what you can. And so what I always do is I always overhire. And so in this case too, I actually sent out 2 acceptance letters. I was lucky enough that both ladies accepted them, but within the first week, before we even got started, one of them quit. She had a very good reason, but still, she quit. And so, just something to keep in mind. Overhire, because you're not paying anybody, you don't have to worry too much about it. Now, as far as getting this new person in, I've been working with this group of guys for a while now, and so we've all gotten to know each other pretty well. We've all built up somewhat of a trust level. To bring somebody else new is a little bit challenging. It's even more challenging because I and all the other people in my company right now, we're all guys, and the rest of them are just college students. And so now I'm going to be bringing on a girl, and this is something I haven't really dealt with before. We've had women work in our company before, but I've never brought on somebody after all these guys have kind of gotten to know each other, somebody new that happens to be a woman as well. And so we're going to see how that goes. But one thing I wanted to do to promote communication was right off the bat, I told her, like, listen, within the first week, I want you to reach out to every single person in the company, introduce yourself, and tell them, ask them what's going on their side, just so they start talking to her. I bet you that even though she sent out the emails, I bet you she maybe got one response back. Just because people are shy, people are busy, right? Like, not everybody has time or wants to talk to somebody else. So that new person has to make the effort to really push forward and push themselves on, as bad as it sounds, and especially when you're talking about a girl going towards guys, push themselves onto them. Figuratively speaking only, push themselves onto them. But she's really gonna have to be proactive here and get herself in there and start communicating with these guys and trying to get their attention, and trying to talk to them, so they start to like her too. They start to trust her. And they start wanting to work with her. The other thing with a new person is you got to make sure you prevent idlelessness, being idle. In this case, it was a little bit difficult for me because I hired her on right as I was going on vacation, and now as I'm back, she's hopping on vacation. And so we have kind of 2 weeks where she's been doing very little, and it's partly my fault, partly actually completely my fault, right? Because I should have been prepared. And now I know for the future, like, once I have somebody on it, I need to have a clear plan. And that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend, is coming up with this clear plan for her to do for the next few weeks. And that kind of goes into my next thing, which I'm going to talk about, was assigning tasks, and this is going to be part of the plan. And I just kind of have to sit down and talk and really just by myself and come up with a clear list. Like, here's what I want accomplished. And instead of micromanaging her, I want to see how she does on her own, and how she can manage her time and manage her resources to hit the goals, right? So it's kind of like a video game where you have, defeat the overlord dragon boss. How do you get there? Well, you accomplish a set of minor tasks, but you figure out how to accomplish them yourself. Beyond that, there was the final piece of the puzzle with a new person, is always to get them familiar with the company. And to start off, this was, I think, a little more trickier because we didn't have the clearest idea of what we're doing. We didn't have a website, and all of us were new. So between those three things, we had a hard time figuring out kind of what to even get familiar with. Now she's coming up, I basically made a little welcome packet that I sent off to her via email, and it just had things like some timelines, some presentations I've made. I told her to look over the website, and all of this together hopefully gives her a little bit of an idea. And also, we use Trello a lot, and if anyone who hasn't used Trello, it is amazing for tracking projects. Just incredible. It's basically like, imagine just a bunch of cards, like playing cards you lay out, and each card is a task. And each card, like as you have laid out on the board, you basically you basically just flip them or check them off as you go, and you can move around from column to column and say there's columns for doing, working on, needs to be worked on and finished, right? You can kind of move the cards around to where you are, and each card can be assigned different things and values and stuff. And it's a really great platform for tracking projects. The other thing we use is for our app design is, I think it's called indesignApp.com. That's a great website. You can build one virtual app for free there. Trello is free as well. So anybody getting into startups, this is some good resources to use for when you're building your business. Beyond that, the next thing we want to do is, and it's something I completely forgot until we were testing a Build-A-Ware app right now on our phones, and I was playing with it this morning, and I realized that our app icon is the old app icon that doesn't fit anymore with what we're doing. So here's possibly the next upcoming logo for our app icon, and we're going to call it Smart Cave. By the time you see this, it's going to be a few months old anyway, so it won't really matter. But hopefully this is what it's going to turn out to looking like. Who knows? From now, this is after a bunch of iterations of what I thought it should be, and so here we are. Anyway, so I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into hiring somebody new. Basically, just to recap, when you hire someone new, if you're a startup and you're not paying them, overhire. Don't be afraid to hire 2 people for one job. You may not have work for both of them. You'll have to let one go or keep the better one. Or more than likely, something's going to come up and one of them's going to quit or one of them's going to suck. So step one is overhire. Step two, always plan when you have submissions coming in. Don't cut your job after the first like 10 or 20 applicants because you're getting overwhelmed. Just get as many as you can in the first 2 weeks, and then cut the job off because you're gonna need out of that massive pool. You're only gonna get a couple of people. And I think that's about it, right? As far as getting applicants go, good luck. It's always tough. It's always tough when working with people you're not motivating with any kind of financial backing, right? All you have is your word and your charisma, and so I would say it's probably the most important thing you could have is hopefully you're an honest person and someone that people would want to follow. And it's one thing you show through your own hard work and your deeds, and you kind of push through, and eventually people pick up on that, and they want to be around you and hopefully work towards a common goal.